Now, I know it's going to have been a month once I actually post these, and the reason, there's two reasons. One, I was having some computer trouble, my computer was refusing to compress anything properly, and two, I got Persona 3 Portable, and just 75 hours of my life, I'm not sure what happened. Anyway, just continuing with reading, I suppose. Where was I? "Let me go!" cried Mr. Wonka. "I've got to press that button or we'll go too high. Let me go! Let me go!" But Grandma Josephine hung on. "Charlie!" shouted Mr. Wonka. "Press the button! The green one! Quick! Quick! Quick!" Charlie leaped across the elevator and banged his thumb down on the green button, but as he did so, the elevator gave a mighty groan and rolled over onto its side, and the rushing, whooshing noise stopped altogether, and an eerie silence took its place. "Too late!" cried Mr. Wonka. "Oh me! Oh my goodness me! We're cooked!" As he spoke, the bed with the three old ones in it and Mr. Wonka on top lifted gently off the floor and hung suspended in mid-air. Charlie and Grandpa Joe and Mr. and Mrs. Bucket also lifted upwards, so that in a twink the entire company, as well as the bed, were floating around like balloons inside the great glass elevator. "Now, look what you've done," said Mr. Wonka, floating about. "What happened?" Grandma Josephine called out. She had floated clear of... Typo. Hello. Clear of the bed? I suppose I'd say clear off the bed. Regardless. And was hovering near the ceiling in her nightshirt. "Did we go too far?" Charlie asked. "Too far?" cried Mr. Wonka. "I'll say we went too far. You know where we've gone, my friends? We've gone into orbit." They gaped and gasped and stared. There were too flabbergasted to speak. They were too flabbergasted to speak. I'm doing great. We are now rushing around the Earth at 17,000 miles an hour, Mr. Wonka said. "How does that grab you?" "I'm choking," gasped Grandma Georgina. "I can't breathe." "Of course you can't," said Mr. Wonka. "There's no air up here." He sort of swam under the ceiling to a button marked oxygen. He pressed it. "It'll be all right now," he said. "Breathe away." This was the oddest feeling, Charlie said, swimming around. "I feel like in a bubble." "It's great," said Grandpa Joe. "It feels as though I don't weigh anything at all." "You don't," said Mr. Wonka. "None of us weighs anything, not even 1 ounce." "What piffle," said Grandma Georgina. "I weigh 87 pounds exactly." A small old lady. "Not now you don't," said Mr. Wonka. "You are completely weightless." The three old ones, Grandpa George, Grandma Georgina, and Grandma Josephine, were trying frantically to get back into bed, but without success. The bed was floating about in mid-air. They, of course, were also floating, and every time they got above the bed and tried to lay down, they simply floated up out of it. Charlie and Grandpa Joe were hooting with laughter. "What's so funny?" said Grandma Josephine. "We've got you out of bed at last," said Grandpa Joe. "Shut up and help us back," snapped Grandma Josephine. "Forget it," said Mr. Wonka. "You'll never stay down. Just keep floating around and be happy." "That man's a madman," cried Grandma Georgina. "Watch out, I'll say, or he'll liquidate the lot of us." That's the end of Chapter 1. Space Hotel USA. Mr. Wonka's great glass elevator was not the only thing orbiting the Earth at that particular time. 2 days earlier, the United States of America had successfully launched its first space hotel, a gigantic sausage-shaped capsule no less than 1,000 feet long. It was called the Space Hotel USA, and it was the marvel of the space age. It had inside it a tennis court, a swimming pool, a gymnasium, a children's playroom, and 500 luxury bedrooms, each with a private bath. It was fully air-conditioned, I hope so. It was also equipped with a gravity-making machine so that you didn't float about inside it. You could walk normally. This extraordinary object was now speeding round and round the Earth at a height of 240 miles. Guests were taken up and down by a taxi service of commuter capsules blasting off from Cape Kennedy every hour on the hour, Monday through Friday. But as yet there was nobody on board at all, not even an astronaut. The reason for this is that no one had really believed such an enormous thing would ever get off the ground without blowing up. But the launching had been a great success, and now that the space hotel was safely in orbit, there was a tremendous hustle and bustle to send up the first guest. It was rumored that the President of the United States himself was going to be among the first to stay in the hotel, and of course there was a mad rush by all sorts of other people across the world to book rooms. Several kings and queens had cabled the White House in Washington for reservations, and a Texas millionaire called Orson Cart, who was about to marry a Hollywood starlet called Hell in High Water, was offering $100,000 a day for the honeymoon suite. But you cannot send guests to a hotel unless there are lots of people there to look after them. And that explains why there was yet another interesting object orbiting the Earth at that moment. This was the large commuter capsule containing the entire staff for the Space Hotel USA. There were managers, assistant managers, desk clerks, waitresses, bellhops, chambermaids, pastry chefs, and hall porters. The capsule they were traveling in was manned by 3 famous astronauts, Shucksworth, Shanks, and Showler, all of them handsome, clever, and brave. In exactly 1 hour, said Shucksworth, speaking to the passengers over the loudspeaker, we shall link up with the Space Hotel USA, your happy home for the next 10 years, and any moment now, if you look straight ahead, you should catch your first glimpse of this magnificent spaceship. Aha! I see something there. That must be it, folks. There's definitely something up there ahead of us. Shucksworth, Shanks, and Showler, as well as the managers, assistant managers, desk clerks, waitresses, bellhops, chambermaids, pastry chefs, hall porters, all stared excitedly through the window. Shucksworth fired a couple of small rockets to make the capsule go faster, and they began to catch up very quickly. Hey, yelled Showler, this isn't our space hotel. Holy rats, cried Shanks. What in the name of Nebuchadnezzar is that? Quick, give me the telescope, yelled Shucksworth. With one hand he focused the telescope, and with the other he flipped the switch, connecting him to ground control. Hello, Houston, he cried into the mic. There's something crazy going on up here. There's a thing orbiting ahead of us, and it's not like any spaceship I've ever seen, that's for sure. Describe it at once, ordered ground control in Houston. It's all made of glass, and it's kind of square, and it's got lots of people inside it. They're all floating about like fish in a tank. How many astronauts on board? None, said Shucksworth. They can't possibly be astronauts. What makes you say that? Because at least 3 of them are in nightshirts. Don't be a fool, Shucksworth, snapped ground control. Pull yourself together, man. This is serious. I swear it, cried poor Shucksworth. There's 3 of them in nightshirts. 2 old women and 1 old man. I can see them clearly. I can even see their faces. Jeepers, they're older than Moses. They're about 90 years old. And I have about